Very good evening to you, dear ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Education and Training Committee of the Institute of Certified Professional Managers, CPM, I warmly welcome you for the evening presentation series, Evening for Managers. Today's theme of the presentation series is effective performance through managing stress. So before starting the program, I would like to give a brief introduction of CPM, the Institute of Certified Professional Managers. The Institute of Certified Professional Managers, CPM, was formed to provide professional qualification in management by conducting educational programs, providing practical experience in private and public sector entities, and establishing a link between the private and public sector for the advancement of professional management. CPM is a joint project initiated by CMA Sri Lanka and All India Management Association AIMA. It is recognized internationally and is an active member of the Association of Management Development Institution in South Asia, AMDISA. So CPM has also signed an MOU with the Malaysian Institute of Management, MIM, to facilitate professional development, knowledge exchange and capacity building in order to develop competent management professionals in Sri Lanka. So objectives of the CPM Education and Training Committee are defining the professionals and educational needs of the membership of CPM, assuring compliance with CPM requirements, creating educational programs to support upgrading through continuing professional development, CPD, and assessing how well the organization meets those needs. So to invite our Secretary of the Certified Professional Manager to deliver his welcome address. So may I invite Mr. Dilshan Arsagaratna, the Secretary, the CPM, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening. Mr. Bashir Ismail, Treasurer of CPM, Mr. Someshwaran, Council Member of CPM, Dr. Prabhat Karnanayaka, presenter today, Mr. Samantha Ratnayaka, Session Moderator, Mr. Suranjit Godagama, Ms. Chandima Bamaranda, Mr. Sujit Bandula-Heva, and Ms. Kanchanamala Marage, our learned panelists of this inaugural presentation, delegates from the sponsor organizations, members of the Institute, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to extend heartfelt warm welcome to all the participants of this inaugural presentation of the Institute Initiative Fresh called CPM Evening Presentation Series, Evening for Managers. Under the core objectives of the CPM Education and Training Committee, the committee came up with the idea of this evening presentation series with the brand theme of Evening for Managers, called EFM. Assuring compliance with CPM requirements and to support the upgrading of professional competency levels of members. Education and Training Committee is planning to continue this presentation series more frequently, once in 2 months from January 2016 onwards, with various topics relevant to the modern manager. The inaugural presentation of our EFM presentation series is certainly another milestone for the CPM Institute, and I am confident this will be a stepping stone taking CPM to the next height. So I would like to extend our gratitude and thanks to Professor Lakshman R. Watawala, President of CPM, Mr. Priyantha Serasinghe, Advisory Chairman of CPM Education and Training Committee, and the members of the Governing Council for their blessings and the valuable guidance. I owe a special word of thanks to Mr. Samantha Ratnayaka, Head of Education and Training Committee, and members of the Education and Training Committee, and to my dedicated team member, Mr. Wajira Abesinghe. Without their untiring effort, this event today would not have taken place. Amidst their busy schedule, all our resource persons who agreed today, thank you very much. Also, a big thank to our silver sponsor, Texon Private Limited, official book partner, Expographic Private Limited, official photographer, Fujiyama Color Lab, exclusive print media partner, Vijay Newspapers, educational media partner, Learn TV, and compere Mr. Danuka Sirinama, Senior Manager Marketing, CMA Sri Lanka. Last not least, before I hand over the podium, I invite you to stay the full session of evening. The take-homes from today's session will add value to your office work, and you will bring fame to the Institute of Certified Professional Managers. Is my sincere wish for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deshan. So, to invite the presenter today. So before I invite our presenter today to the podium, I would like to give a brief introduction of him. He is Dr. Prabhat Karuna Nayaka, the Director HR at China Harbour Engineering Company. Dr. Prabhat Karuna Nayaka is a medical doctor with postgraduate qualifications in applied psychology and occupational health and safety. He also holds an MBA in HRM and is currently reading for his MSc in business psychology. He has held several top positions in HR during his 14-year-long career and at present serves as the Director HR at China Harbour Engineering Company. Dr. Karuna Nayaka extends his consultant service many organizations in both private and public sector to create healthy workplaces. His key interest areas are psychological well-being, executive wellness, and ergonomics. He also conducts numerous public workshops on health and wellness related areas. And Dr. Karuna Nayaka has the unique advantage of having expertise in medicine and human resources management and is able to bring in a different perspective to both employee wellness and managing people. So may I now invite Mr. Dr. Karuna Nayaka, the Director HR, China Harbour Engineering Company Limited, our presenter today to the podium.
If you want to achieve things you have never achieved before, you have to start doing things you have never done before. Those are the words of late Stephen R. Covey. Council members, members of the Education Committee, my dear friends. Are you happy? Are you happy? Yes. Are you healthy? Okay, right. You see, World Happiness Report 2015. Sri Lanka is ranked 132 out of 158 countries. Right? The other extreme, but we are ranked number 4 in terms of suicide. So we are an unhappy nation, and we are very well doing something about it. Not the right thing. So that's about happiness. And what about health? 1/4 of the Lankans are diabetics. This was published very recently. And it says if the trend continues, in 2050, 50% will be diabetics. So I would like for you to have a look towards your left, the person to your left, to your right, person to your left, person in front of you. So the chances are that one of you 4 are diabetic. That's how things are. So there's something wrong, isn't it? We are unhappy, we are unhealthy. Why? What's the issue? So the workplace is not that different. This is the findings of a survey done in the States, published about a year ago. It says, to the question, is your job stressful? 69% say yes. So that is more than 2/3 say yes. And if you take, what is your biggest source of stress? Management. The management is giving the biggest headache to your employees. Then comes the deadlines, clients, and so on. How has your job impacted your life? About 41% lose sleep over their job, so they can't sleep. Either they are thinking about it or the boss is giving calls at the middle of the night. They can't sleep. So the trend continues. Sri Lanka as a country has an issue, and unfortunately we don't have similar issues for Sri Lanka, but I don't think we'll be that different. Now today we will try to look at this problem from a different perspective. I'm sure you would have read a lot about stress. I'm sure you would have discussed about it when you get together, what a stressful job I'm doing. But today we will have a slightly different perspective to it. I want you to picture yourself going to work in the morning, bright sunny day, nothing remarkable, just an ordinary day, you are going to work. And on your way, you come across the most dreadful sight you can ever think of. Not your wife, not your boss. Right. Now, what does this poor fellow has as options? What can he do? Yes, he can fight, or he can drop everything and run for his life. Now, whatever option he takes, he's going to need one common thing, and that is an enormous amount of strength and energy. And my dear friends, the thing that we are calling stress is the response that the nature has given us to face this situation. If we didn't have the stress response, we wouldn't be alive. When you are faced with a life-threatening situation, to either run from the situation or either to fight back, you need to have energy, and your stress response gives you that energy. Fast forward 100,000 years. You are sitting in your office room, diligently chatting away with your girlfriend on your smartphone, and your boss comes to your room and says, now a foreign delegation has come, tomorrow you have to give a presentation about the progress we have made during the last year. So this is you. What will you feel when you are giving the presentation? Sorry. Blurring of vision, dry mouth, which I am having at the moment, breathless, heart beats faster, butterflies, want to go to the toilet, yes, couple of times, sweating, pale skin, and shaking. Those are some of the things you might experience. Now, why do you think these things happen? When you are faced with something challenging, whether it be a presentation or a deadline, or you encounter a ferocious dog on the road, this is how your body responds. Why do you think the body responds this way? Your body is basically preparing you for that challenge. Blurring of vision. Why is that? Your pupils open up to take in more light in, so your vision might get blurred. So all the fluid other than blood is diverted into the bloodstream. That is why you get your dry mouth. Your saliva is no longer secreted. your windpipes dilate to get more air. You get breathless. Your heart needs to pump more blood. It beats faster. And where do you get these butterflies? Now, when you are in an emergency, there's no need to digest your food. No? So the blood supply to your digestive system is also diverted to the muscles. So you get this funny feeling in your stomach. You want to go to the toilet. The response is, you are designed to shed as much weight as possible to run easily. So you want to go to the toilet. Sweating, you want to lose heat. Your blood in the skin is diverted to your muscles, so you become pale. Everything happens for a reason, to save your life. But the thing is, something which has developed to save your life, now we are finding it to be something which harm you. Why is that? Now, according to Darwin, nature will not maintain any characteristic which is not helping you to survive in the world. So if this doesn't help you to survive, why has it continued to be here? That's the problem. Okay? Now the issue is not the stress response, the difference between the stressors. Now what are the stressors that hunter-gatherer had? He would have had a saber-toothed tiger. Maybe another tribe coming to attack. Maybe some like a shortage of food or something, which those were the only stressors that guy would have had. But what about him? What are the stressors he's having? There will be 1,001 stressors he's facing. Starting from the workplace, family, social work, traffic, everything. That is one reason. Other reason is, now that guy, the hunter-gatherer, when he faced the problem, he either fought back or ran away. The stressor was taken care of. But in modern day society, the stressors we face will never go away, will they? You meet the deadline, there's another one looming ahead of you. You manage your finances, there's a relationship issue. You do everything and get on the road, there's traffic. So this thing never stops. Something which has been gone through evolution to save our lives has been turned upside down because of our own lifestyle. So we can't blame the stress response, we can only blame ourselves. So, looks familiar? Anyone who can relate to a situation like this? So what is the definition of stress? Very simply, it says, the body's response to any demand placed on it, perceived to be unmanageable. I have highlighted 3 keywords. It is a response. How your body responds? The same way, like I described. The pounding heart, the rapid breath, pale skin, whole story. To any demand, it can be your finances, it can be your career, it can be your family, it can be your social relationships, anything. But the most important thing here is, the last word I put there, perceived to be unmanageable. So you have to be very clear. A huge workload is not stress. How you perceive that huge workload is what gives you stress. If you perceive, okay, it's like this. So you have your demands, inevitable, but if you face it with a positive mind, thinking that, okay, I can manage this, I can do this, I have the resources, you won't go into stress, but it will be growth. You will grow as an individual. It is taken as a challenge. But when you perceive that you don't have resources to face the demand, that is where you end up with stress. So here, sometimes you would have seen good stress or eustress. here is the bad stress or the distress. Then who has the choice? Who has the switch whether I become stressed or not? It is us. It is not the three-wheel driver who cuts across our way. It is not the boss who gives us a bad time. It is not my teenage son who is misbehaving. It is me who is making the decision whether I become stressed or not. That we have to be very clear. Because without understanding that, you will never be able to manage stress. If you keep on pointing fingers at others, okay, you are giving me stress, you are doing so and so for me, that's why I'm stressed, you will never manage it. You have to assume responsibility, then only you can manage it. Of course, the world can give you reasons to get stressed. Yes, 1001 reasons. But whether you get stressed or not, it is your choice. If I do a bit of a graph, the level of demand on the x-axis and your level of performance on the y-axis, what do you think will be the shape of this graph? So as the level of demand increases from minimum to medium to maximum, what will happen to your performance? All of us have experienced when there's hardly any demand placed on us, there's no performance as well. What we call boredom. There's no drive, nothing pushing us. We are bored. But as the level of demand increases, the level of performance also goes up. What we call the comfort zone. Now you are comfortably performing and you have achieved a certain level of performance. But still you are not at the peak. There's some way you can go. And to achieve that, you have to be stretched. What we call in our management jargon, the stretch goals. Yeah? So, when you reach that, now you are performing at your peak. And if the demand keeps on increasing, then you will start having problems. Then your performance will come down, what we call the strain zone. You are beginning to feel the discomfort. Some signs are beginning to show up. And if you go further, you will end up with a crisis zone where you will be totally out. This is the general shape of this demand-performance relationship. All of us, this will be the same. But individually, there can be differences. One difference is this. There's this point here where we can perform at our peak. That point is different from person to person. For one person, it can be towards the left. They will start breaking up at a very early stage. But for someone, it can be towards your right. They'll be able to take up a lot of demand, but still, at one point, they'll start to break up. That is one. And the second most important thing is, this point can be pushed towards the right by doing certain things. There are certain things which you can do, which will push that point to the right, so that you can absorb more demand, more pressure, without going into stress. And we'll be discussing some of those things as we go along. Now, what causes stress? It says 40% workload, 28% people issues, relationships, family, and about 20% the work-life balance, when you are unable to prioritize between your work and the rest of it. Then, bit of finances, a lot of things are there. And if you take work, things like the monotony in your work, the degree of autonomy you have, the kind of relationships you have with your colleagues, your boss and your subordinates, job security, options for promotions, all those things matter. When it comes to personal lives, any loss or any conflicts, maybe between two aspects of your life even, it can lead to stress. Again, I would like to reiterate, these can only give you a reason to be stressed. Whether you are stressed or not, it is your choice. Then what are the effects? Now, you would have read, when you are stressed, there are three main hormones secreted in our body. The main one is called cortisol, then you have aldosterone, then you have adrenaline. Those three hormones are essential for life, but when those things are secreted in more than required amounts for a more than required period, they can lead to wear and tear and some destruction of your tissues. With that, there are a lot of disease conditions which are going to happen. And if you really look at it, every conceivable disease, almost every conceivable disease is either directly or indirectly affected by stress. Take heart attacks, directly affected by stress. Take stroke, take diabetes, take cholesterol, take arthritis, take dermatitis, whatever it is, there is a role played by stress. If you look at here, migraine, insomnia, blood pressure, ulcers, heart attacks, anxiety, back pain, the list goes on and on. Then if you look at the signs of stress, now this you can use as a guidance to identify whether you are stressed or not. Things like physical signs, inability to sleep, then headaches, digestive problems, either loose motion or constipation, both can happen. Tremors, like shivering hands, it can happen. Headaches, the tension headaches. There are certain physical things you might experience. Then there are some behavioral things you might experience. Things like isolation, withdrawal, getting into bad habits, things like that. Then there are psychological things. For example, anger, irritability, sadness. There are a lot of signs. And there are tested questionnaires available which you can use just to see where you are. In terms of stress, where you are. And I'm going to show you a basic, very brief assessment which you can do in 2-3 minutes to see whether you are stressed or not. So you can do it here. You have to lie down. When you go home, do it. First one, check your muscle tension. That is, starting from the forehead, start feeling those specific areas. The forehead, just feel the forehead. See whether you can relax it further. If you can relax your forehead further, that means before that, it has been tensed. Then focus on your eyes. If you can relax your eyes, that means you have been tensed. Then focus on your jaw muscles. If you can relax your jaw muscles, that means you have been doing this, right, beforehand. So from head to toe, go through all the muscles and sense the muscles and see whether you can relax it further. That means if you can relax them further, meaning you have been tensed up, that could be a sign of stress. Second one, check your hand temperature. You won't be able to do it here because the temperature is too low. You take your hand, put it at the back of your neck, right? And if your hand is significantly cooler than the back of the neck, it is an indication you have sweaty palms, which can be a sign of stress. You just put the hand here, and if the hand is much cooler than the back of the neck, that could be a sign. Then you check for your nervous sweating. You look at the other side of the hand, the back of your hand, and if you can see the light, the sweat there, it can be a sign of nervous sweating. Fourth one, you check your pulse. I hope you know how to check the pulse. Right? You take 2 fingers, put it here, either here or here. You can feel it. Normally it should be in the 60s per minute. If it's in the upper 70s, 80s, means you are under stress.